Hello, everybody! Hopefully you can hear me. Yes, you should be able to hear me, and hopefully you can hear my wonderful player, the delightful Dead Aussie Gamer. Michael, how you doing?
G'day! Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm doing about as great as it can be at 2 in the morning, but I am pumped and jazzed because I'm doing my favorite thing, and that is, of course, playing some D&D with my good friend Guy. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a long time.
It's been a while. Absolutely. For those of you who don't know, Michael and I have been playing D&D together for just a very long time, and it's been absolutely awesome. All right, Michael. So, for those who do not know who are you, and where can they find you, and what are you doing?
Oh, that is always a loaded question. Well, the speedrun version of it is, G'day guys, my name's Mark, I'm the Dead Aussie Gamer. I'm a professional entertainer and role player from Perth, Western Australia. I do a ton of TTRPGs, not just Dungeons & Dragons, but all sorts all over the internet. Firstly, on my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/DeadAussieGamer, where you can find me running a ton of games for Patreons and people and just hanging out and doing cool things. Not only playing games, but also things like Hero Forge, world building, map building, bunch of cool stuff. But also, I pride myself on going onto other people's channels and ingratiating myself in there, much like the proverbial TTRPG cockroach that I am, and turning the lights on and off numerous times. Do absolutely nothing. So you can also find me playing over on the Careful Cantrip team over at Careful Cantrip on Twitch. And of course, I'm a member of Quincy's Tavern over with Quincy's Tavern on Twitch as well. And yeah, you can find me if not anywhere else, pretty much just by Googling me at this point. I have done so many things, not of course excluding the amazing content that we've produced together with Guy, including of course all of our Braxia campaigns, the Adventures of the Windswift, the Broken World Chronicles. We've done podcasts together, so many cool things, and you can find out all about them by joining the Discord for How to Be a Great GM. You know, just saying links and stuff, I'm presuming else there in places
Yeah,
to
we'll
go.
put the links in, I swear it.
Sure.
Yeah, discord.gg/greatgm is where you can join us, hang out, and do all sorts of cool and wonderful things. Now, one of those things, apart from chatting up with Michael, Dead Aussie Gamer, is you can vote on the caption, or actually put forward a caption, for the weekly image that I make based on the previous sessions. Now, this first image here, this is a little bit big. Let me just resize that. This might be the old one. Yep, that's the old one.
Yeah.
Okay, I loaded up the wrong image. Give me a second here, folks. Damn you for failing. Oh yes, that's because I loaded up.
Can I protest the image? Just saying, if
Yes.
that's what happened last week. I want to go on record. God's damn it.
That was the very first episode. That was our good wizard friend there, desperately trying to survive and an encounter that Vanwell Amalith, the mage. And the caption options that came through for that image, by the way, were all on Discord. Super cool captions. The one that got the most votes was from a Cham, and that was that was my record scratch. Yep, that's me. Bet you're wondering how I ended up in this mess. Well, as a matter of fact, if you are wondering just how he ended up in that mess, I would strongly suggest that you go and watch episode 1, because what a cool episode that was. The image for this week is up, and it was loaded up into the opening 10-minute countdown of today's video, and that's from last week's episode, where we saw our young Finnegan running through a rather fiery space. If you haven't watched that episode, go and check it out. It is part of the playlist, which is part of the YouTube channel. And so you can go and watch that at your leisure. And then remember to head on over to Discord to vote or to nominate your favorite saying. Yes, Michael.
Can we put that image just back on for just 1 second? I just have something to say. Chat, if anyone in chat is artistically created, could someone please make this as like the ending, you know, the JoJo Bizarre Adventure, like the to be continued, and then that music that comes on? If someone could do that for me, I would take that as a personal favor, because I think that definitely needs to commemorate most of the game ones that we have with Guy. Like, just the episode 1 to be continued with poor Poor Vanwell trying his best to exist at level 1, because how dare we be alive at level 1?
Yes.
Here's a dragon.
Here's a dragon, because why not? All right, so who are you playing, Michael?
Well, I am playing the human wizard, Nade Nawan. He is a middle-aged individual, well, kind of young middle-aged, who is traveling around kind of trying to perfect the art of wizardry, or at least that is what he would have you believe. Truth be told, Nude is not exactly the typical wizard trainee. In fact, he is a well, not a charlatan really. He's just kind of trying to. Okay, look, he's a rogue. Okay, he's not a wizard. He's a rogue, and I stole some wizard robes from a dead guy, and
Is it
now
stealing
I have
if
to.
they're already dead?
It's not. I mean, name me one adventurer that goes, oh, you know what? We've just killed those bandits. Let's leave their purses behind. Bull. Rubbish. Codswallop is what I say. So Nade is doing his best to impersonate a wizard trainee with absolutely no magic. So this will be a lot of fun. Because I read the homework assignment, we're going to play a wizard adventure. And I went, oh, am I? And this is what we ended up with.
This is what we ended up with. Indeed. And so, just in case you are not aware of the program, we have already run 2 one-on-one solos with 2 of my players, and Michael is the third. And then next week sees me running through the game with the last of the solo players, Lou, and then in the second week of January, that's when all 4 players get together to have some fun. Why am I doing it this way? Well, go check out my YouTube videos on Dragonlance. You can see them as I work through my planning of each of these sessions. What did I plan to do in these sessions? What am I thinking? Why am I doing it? Why am I running one-on-ones? And all that kind of wonderful stuff is in those videos. Finally, if you are entertained by these shows, remember to hit that like button and chat away in chat. Always a lot of fun to see your commentary and things, although sometimes I am so busy running all of the different screens that I don't know where to look. What screens am I running? Well, I'm running dungeonfog.com. They are going to be providing us with all of the beautiful maps that you're going to be seeing in today's show, as well as a partial VTT for tokens, characters, monsters, and the like. And we're running D&D Beyond, and that's where our dice rolling is and our characters are based. So now you know, and with that, I think that's more than enough jibber jabber. We're all here to roleplay. So let's get on with the show, I would say. New Day, you are surrounded by 3 of the mages who conduct the final examination of potential candidates to gain the right to claim a robe of one of the specific colors: white for those who are noble and pure of heart and who are dedicated to saving others, red for those who are slightly interested in saving others but also interested in the greater good, or black, those who are interested in serving themselves and by doing so help the communities there too. Either way, how you comport yourself through this trial will determine what colour robe you wear, or whether you are turfed out on your ear for not being a suitable candidate for the Mages of Sorcery. Now, your trial required that you travel from the tower where you have been trained for the last few months or so. After there was some clerical confusion that seemed to be resolved, you were finally assigned your trial date. You have journeyed with 3 masters to a forest nearby. Well, relatively nearby. It has taken you a week to get here, but you are now here. And as the bird's song starts to break into your slumber, you are aroused from sleeping inside the Sleeman's tiny hut that was created by one of the masters for you to sleep in. And the forest is all around you. This is what you see. You are in a rather large clearing. There is a little bit of stonework around on the ground, mostly overgrown. In the distance, a giant statue of a rather curiously bearded-shaped man with wings and the body of a lion looms large and would be far more impressive if it hadn't crumbled and succumbed to the ravages of time and become overgrown with a dark-leafed ivy. The rest of the masters who have travelled with you, it is the Dwarf Lord Bagal, known for his tough but fair assessment of candidates' intellectual capacities. Mistress Shamlin, controller of the elements, is here to test your arcane understanding of the deepermost workings of magic. Whilst Kenvith the Cold, some call him, he is here to see whether you have the mental stamina of a mage, or whether you will crack like an egg and go and become a peasant where he believes that most students belong. And so the four of you, I should say, wake up in this rather delightful forest. All right, says Bagal. Right, new day. Okay, so let's start off, shall we?
Of course. I'm eager to impress and, of course, provide you with everything that you expect from not only a passing grade, but, of course, an exemplary one at that.
Right. Well, you see, the thing is, a lot of your scores seem quite vague. But you have got scores, so we're supposed to... Right, well, anyway, let's... Right. So, first up will be Shamlin. Mistress, if you win. She steps forward. Beg your pardon. She steps forward. All right, new day. You have been trained in the various arts that belong to the academia. I would like you, if you please, to instruct me on what the third phase of the moon has to do with the relationship of arcane power. Bearing in mind that there may be one or more ion stones involved in the equation, tell me, what is the arcane differential that we might expect under a third phase moon? Go ahead and give me an Arcana check.
All right. That is a 2.
Do you want to give an answer, or...
Well, New Day is going to ponder the question very deeply before answering. I'm going to try to basically use double speak. I would like to deceive my answer in the following way. You said the third phase of the moon, but what type of month of the year would that be? Is it a 29-day month, or is it the 30-day or 31? And of course, more imperatively, was the last cycle of the moon correspondent to the winter solstice based on the previous year as been cast by the ion stones forged and cracked from the earth that season? Or perhaps were seasonal ion stones just simply not available at that time? If so, I would say that the variable differentials between the different phases could really have similarities between a second and third phase, but only if the right season has gone by. And of course, this is not the 15th day of the second month of I mean, obviously, I don't need to tell you, you are such a wise and beautiful and knowledgeable wizard. I just don't want to give you an answer that would displease you. But what exactly would you be looking for precisely is more what I'd be asking.
Go ahead and give me your deception check.
All right. That is a 22.
Okay. On a 22, let's just have a look and see. All right, so with your 22, Shamlin looks at you, and she looks at Bagal. Bagal is grinning from ear to ear. Oh, what he said. And Kenvith looks at Shamlin. If you are going to be manipulated by his silver tongue, this is going to be a very short trial, Shamlin. I advise you to test again. She looks at you. All right. So, it seems like you've got a good understanding of the ebb and flow of magic, if perhaps you might be overthinking it a little bit. So, I'll ask you this next question. What spell would you use to counteract magic missile?
What spell would I use to counteract magic missile? That is an 18 on my Arcana check.
You have two options. You could either use shield, which will absorb all of the magic missiles, or you could just use counterspell.
Well, I would say that I present three options as potential counterances to the magic missile spell. Firstly, if I were far more experienced, more akin to your amazing and magnanimous selves, I would utilize the counterspell in order to remove the obstacle entirely. If I were, of course, readily prepared, I would have the shield spell at the ready to defend myself against the type of magic that would be coming of me. But, of course, being a lowly trainee as I am currently, I would simply pose option 3, conserve my spells for greater threats, and simply move myself to a position where one simply couldn't designate me as a target of the magic missile spell. For the one parameter a magic missile requires is for you to be able to target your prospective victim of said spell. This way, preserving not only the spell I have, but also giving me an opportunity to take the offensive if need be against an adversary.
Well, I'll give you that. She looks at Kenvith. I'm satisfied, for now, anyway. Kenvith looks at you. Give me a perception
I'll bow
check.
when he does, just kind of like, not a noble bow, but like kind of like a deep one to like show the respect of, I'm pleased to have satisfied for now.
Give me a perception check as you bow to Shamlin and...
Oof, that is a 9 for me.
All right. Kenvith looks at you. Right. Well, you might have impressed the mistress with your glib answers, but I'm afraid that I will require far more investment on your behalf. He waves his hands in a sort of swirling motion and then suddenly seems to pull something out of the middle of that swirl. And it is a rather curiously carved stone. And inscribed upon it are several ancient symbols of some kind. He sort of chucks the stone to you. It's easy enough to catch. What is that?
I will inspect the stone.
Right. Give me an investigate check.
That's a 15.
15? Okay. Dice are all over the place for you today, so who knows what's going to happen here.
Could be anything.
With your 15, you realize that this stone must have the capacity to store magic of some kind. It would probably be activated by reading the words upon the stone. So I would then ask you, do you speak any other language aside from Common?
I speak Kender and sign language.
Oh, yes, you do speak Kender. So neither of those two languages will help you in this case. Your investigation of 15 did not reveal the actual code. So he says, right. So this does what exactly?
Well, to the layman's eye, this would appear to be simply a magic stone, but the stone itself doesn't hold magic, but magic can be stored or held within it. And reading the inscription upon it, of course, with the masterful words of a expert mage such as yourself, one can harness the power that is stored within it. The rock itself is merely a rock, a vessel for the magic held within.
My next question is obvious.
The spell that is held within.
The word on the stone. If you please, Mr. No One.
I will, Okay, I'm going to try...
Give me an insight check.
Okay, I'm going to insight... Here we go. Insight of... That's a 5, that is.
Yeah.
Swings and roundabouts we're at. All right,
what are you going to try?
I'm going to try to I suppose, feign the caution of mispronouncing the dialect of it, and in doing so, accidentally triggering a negative response. And to ask, would it be necessary to cast the spell, or to simply read what's on the inscription?
Just tell me the word that you need in order to activate the stone.
So I merely need to communicate to you the word on the stone to warrant...
Mr. Noen.
Well, if you insist, I walk over to him. I place the stone in his hand and I say, I present you the word to activate the stone.
Everyone holds waiting.
Well, it's on the stone, isn't it? I mean, you've just asked me.
Yes, just read the word out aloud, Mr. Noen. This was handled
my
in
apologies.
first year.
I'm so sorry. I thought you were. I thought it was kind of strange. The one moment. Let me see if I can. I'm just gonna give it a crack. I'm just. I feel like this point.
As you are kind of sweating, you hear a distant crunch and snap from to the northwest of you. It sounds particularly loud, as if a tree was just sort of falling over.
As I'm about to speak, I'll immediately turn into distraction mode. Sorry, did you hear that? I could have sworn I heard a tree falling down. You know what they say, if a tree falls in the woods and 3 wizards and a trainee are around, you definitely hear it.
Oh dear. You might be on your own here, because one of them
No,
got a 4, one of them got a 9. Kenvith looks at you with cold eyes. It was merely a branch falling, Mr. Noen. If you don't answer the question, this trial will be over.
All right. Okay. Sure, certainly, if I may. The word written upon the magic stone, as handed to me by High Mage Kenvith, is the word.
Make a dexterity saving throw.
Oh, dang it. Okay. That is a 24.
This is because perhaps you see this incredibly large trunk of dead wood sailing straight at you and at the back of Kenvith's head. And it has been thrown by what looks to be another tree. With your dexterity saving throw, you have two choices. Save yourself or save Kenvith.
Is it or do I have a chance?
And or. This is literally you're going to leap into Kenvith and pull him aside, but possibly get hit yourself, or you're just going to roll to the side.
All right, I am going to save myself because
All right.
I mean, one less person to judge me, I guess. Oh no!
You judged me. You die.
Oh no! The person who needed me to read from this is dead. Oh well, next trial. Let's.
Well, I'll just have to pass automatically then, I guess.
I'm
All
in mourning.
You're in mourning. Oh, I see. This is my mourning face. I just smile when I wake up in the morning. So, as you are looking in horror, you leap to the side, and the brunt of this log just slams into the back of Kenvith, and you realize that this was a sizable tree that had been thrown onto him, or sort of at him and at you, and it basically just buries him completely underneath it, as there is this terrific thud and crash and crack as it basically takes him out completely. You have rolled to the side, and you can see now lumbering very slowly forward. I'm just going to put a log here on top of Kenvith. Ba-bang. He is effectively underneath that log, and I'm going to take him out of there. You roll to the side, and you can see lumbering now and pushing over that stone wall this massive animated tree. And it looks as if it's going to pick up that log again. And as it does, the holes in its woodwork seem to form a face. And that face simply says, Shamlin. And that's what's happening there.
All right.
So what are you doing?
Well, firstly, I want to see what Shamlin's expression is, given the name being called out.
Yes. So she shrieks at you to take cover. I have this. She hopes to hell.
Okay. All right, I'm going to start with many stupid things. So you've mentioned that he is picking up the log yet again.
Trying to pick up the log, yes.
I would like to grab onto the lip of the log and use the fulcrum that he is lifting it with to slide through the log and end up on the giant tree person.
Okay. Well, in that case, then let's roll initiative for me, please.
All right, here we go. Okay, this it's average. It's 13.
It's going first. So yes, you are desperately trying to leap up onto this log. It lumbers forward towards Shemlin there, and it's going to try and pick up this log. So it makes a strength check and fails. As it tries to pick up the log, you can see bits of red smear underneath where this 1-ton piece of tree just destroyed the high mage. And it tries to pick up the log, but it's kind of wedged into the ground and it's kind of stuck. So it can't do anything there. Now you are up. What are you doing? Running along that log?
All right, so the log is... Okay, so the log's like causes great effort for this guy.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to, in that case, enter the log, still moving, but this time I will travel along the ground,
Uh-huh.
diagonally. And here's what I want to try. I want to attempt to, while I'm under the cover of the log itself,
Sure.
reach into my pack and start pulling out a variety of different things. Firstly, I want to draw out my bag of ball bearings that I've got,
Right.
and I want to grab my fishing gear and take out a spool of wire and a small bell. I don't want to do anything with them. I just want to like spend the whole turn just basically pulling this stuff out while in the cover of the log interior.
Fantastic. That's what you were doing.
That's
Then
what
Bagal
I'm doing.
goes, and Bagal steps to the side, and he starts to spin his hands in a non-copyright kind of way, creating this power vortex in front of him, which seems to look like the spinning blades of a sawmill, which he then turns sideways and sends directly at the ant-like creature, the awakened tree. That sawblade flies straight towards it. It has to make a dexterity saving throw, which I suspect it's going to fail. It does indeed. And so his improvised blades there roll in and just slam into the creature. I'm just going to make it everybody. And deal significant damage to it. As it slides into it, Shamlin, she wearing her red robes, sort of backs up a few steps, and she pulls some magic around herself. And you can see what she's doing is she's creating this armor that sort of unfolds around her in a wonderful kind of pinkish hue. And then it kind of sets in place, and she keeps shouting at you, "Get out of here! This is not part of the test at all! Go!" is what she's shouting. That brings us back to the top of the round, and the tree thing looks around. It's, let's just see, does it even notice that you are there? Oh, it almost didn't, but it did. It kind of looks down in your general direction, sees that you're running around it.
Aren't I inside the log?
Oh, I thought you were under the log.
No, in the log, inside, like the space between it.
Sure, you kind of scrabbling around in there. I'll go with that. So I'm going to give him disadvantage on that, so you can roll again. There we go. So that's an 8, so he does not see you at all inside the log. He is not aware of you, so he is just going to attack. So he moves with the log, or he's trying to drag the log, actually, so the log kind of just rotates a little bit with you inside it. And then he just attacks, trying to hit Shamlin. He strikes at her, but her armor just illuminates up and bounces off of it and doesn't seem to do any damage. It tries to hit again and does nothing. And you're up. You have
All right.
wire and bells.
Okay. Basically I've got my arms and legs sort of spread out inside the log as each swing comes crashing down. I'm going to voluntarily take a little bit of damage here. Just because I'm imagining being battered around inside of the log while it's being swung. But as I do so, I'm going to ready my next action as I hold the wire in my mouth and start to climb towards the edge, like the furthest entrance away from the monster.
Okay.
What I want to do is I want to ready my action to drop the bell and the handful of ball bearings, and as it swings, as it lifts its way back, I want to leap out after having attached the wire to the top of the log, and use the weight to kind of pull it, like hyperextend his arm backwards onto the ball bearings as I jump out.
Okay, you are trying to fulcrum him over. Okay, all right.
Correct.
I like that. I like that a lot. So that is what you're trying to do. You are holding his action. Begal steps sideways, and this time he tries to, instead of creating the circles, because that kind of worked, but the thing is still standing. So he realizes that that isn't working. He very quickly in the ground with the tip of his boot describes this almond-shaped symbol, and then he kind of crosses it twice, and then out of the ground he pulls this very curious looking plant that turns into a flute. He blows 3 notes into that, desperate to try and control this plant. You watch as the magic sort of washes out of the flute, slams into its head, and it's not immune. Slams into its head, and the whole creature just stops. And it doesn't move at all.
Ooh.
So it's sort of in mid-motion. That's what he is doing. Then Shamlin, she is going to dash this way towards an old broken door. And as she does, she pulls out this very thorny whip out of... It looks as if she's pulling it out of her hand. And she kind of cracks it at the tree. Oh, and misses. She absolutely misses. So that takes us to the top of the round, which is the tree. And the tree lifts that log high above its head, which is exactly what you wanted. Your action triggers. So you are leaping out.
Yep. So I've attached the wire inside the log as I've jumped out, and I'm going to basically just use my weight to pull him back further than his weight could reach. And as I do, I will say, Gravitas Doubulus Timbericus, as I'm then going to freaking, yeah.
I like that. You gain inspiration for that as you leap out, and I need you to give me an athletics check as you try to make yourself as heavy as possible.
All right, come on.
You have advantage. You have advantage. You have advantage.
That's still a 10.
10 is a 10 is a 10. He has disadvantage on the roll. Oh, he rolled a natural 20 and he rolled a 13. So the 13 is it. I don't know why it I see what it did there. All right. So unfortunately you leap out, throwing out the spell, and you end up just hanging 5 feet above the ground on the end of this club thing.
I'm going to then use, if I may, use deception to go, fly.
Fly?
I am hovering.
All right, you say fly.
25. I'm going to pretend like I'm intentionally flying and trying to use the hand that's holding onto the wire. I'm like pretending like I'm trying to pull him down, which is actually what I'm doing, but also like very gracefully trying to look like I'm not dangling.
I love it. I love it. That's a good deception. Come on. With your fly and you hanging on the edge of this log thing, his first attack, he doesn't even get to swing it at Shamlin. And his second attack also fails with you sort of adding this unstabilizing weight thing. It is now Begal, and Begal just pulls out around him these 3 spheres of energy which sail out directly towards it when in doubt. Right? Throw a magic missile, which does 6, 7, 8, 9 damage to the creature. We'll just do that quickly. Then it is Shamlin, and Shamlin just says, "From the trees, back to the trees." And with that her hands just bloom with sort of autumnal leaves that wash out towards the creature. It tries to make a dexterity saving throw, but with a -2, it fails, and so it gets hit. Where is it? As you are hanging on the edge there, and with this creaking, cracking crunch, the whole thing just tumbles to the ground and collapses into effectively some firewood and ceases to move. You kind of land gracefully, and that is... we're out of combat.
Okay. Well,
Are you all right? Says,
oh, yes. No.
Shamlin as she rushes towards you.
I kind of nurse a couple of like bumps and bruises from when I was like being thrashed around inside the log, but he'll say, yes, no, I quite all right, just a bit of a rocky start, but I think we got it in the end. Apologies, I knew you told me to run, but there was a couple of new spells I wanted to try out. I particularly wanted to try out this weight increasing spell that only works on particular logs in this forest at a particular time of day, which it happened to be. It's far too specific for regular use, but I think it helped us out just there in those final last fleeting moments of this creature's onslaught.
Yes, that's all very, very interesting, and you'll have to tell me about that spell at some point.
Yes.
New Day, is there anything that we can do for Kenvith? Bagal is standing next to the lifeless form of Kenvith. No, I'm afraid he's gone. It was sudden. That creature called out your name, Shamlin. Why? She looks to the crumpled pile of bracken and that sort of thing. She looks to you. She looks back at Bagal. I can't say that I know why. From a clearing on the far side of this whole thing, a voice shouts out, "That's not entirely true, is it?" And stepping into the light, there is this elderly humanoid, long curled white moustache, and he looks from Shamlin to Bagal and then to you very briefly. You know exactly why that tree attacked you. You should not have set the trial here, Shamlin. That was a mistake, one that cost Kenvith his life. Not that he'll be missed by much, but he wasn't missed by the tree. He steps forward into the full clearing. Acolyte, you've just seen what happens when you turn your back on an old enemy. They will come out of the shadows and bite you.
Yeah, a lesson I will not soon forget, Master...
Oh, I'm not a master of anything. But what I can tell you, Acolyte, is that you shouldn't be here, should you?
Well, if it weren't for the rigorous trainings, scarcely. I'm fortunate that I was able to avoid the blow, unlike Master Kenvith. It is, of course, true. I would not be here if not for the training I have received and the kindness shown to me by the Mages of High Sorcery.
That seems to floor him for a moment. Shamlin steps forward and says, I don't care why you're here, Ispin, and I don't know exactly to whom you are referring that I have turned my back on. But I don't like your tone. Kenvith is dead. This trial is over, Acolyte. We will have to run it again at a later date. I'm afraid.
Well, not much to be done there. Of course, we should take care of matters involving Master Kenvith. May he rest in peace.
You watch as it looks as if Ispin just very quickly jabs Shamlin in the back of the neck with, you would barely have noticed it, but for the fact that it happens just before she collapses, it looks as if he tapped her on the back of the neck with his hand, and he had a particular ring which you have some historical familiarity with. The ring has a very small little needle on the end of it, ideal for to be coated in certain narcotics. But as he touches her on the back of the neck, she crumples to the ground. Oh, dear. It seems she's been overcome with grief. Begal, can you do any of your magic to restore her? Begal did not see any of this and goes rushing over to check. And it's at that point that... Oh, well, we get one of those, which we don't get very often. Usually it's not
and roundabouts today.
The GM side, but anyway. So, yes, you watch as Begal very neatly folds up on top of Shamlin as well, leaving you with just Ispin. Now, you are, he says, as he sort of stands up to his full height, Blackstone, are you not?
You watch
Don't lie to me.
You watch as New Day's posture and tone immediately shift and change. He leaps up onto the large log and sort of takes a more casual seat, almost like you would have like around a campfire or talking to an old associate. And he says, "Oh, it's been a while since someone called me that, but fair is fair. I trust from your equipment that you don't come bearing goods, messages, or tithes, and, well, any person that can lay low to mages of the high sorcery, well, geez, I must be special then."
You're special because you've been with the mages for several months, haven't you? Masquerading as this new day or whatever you call yourself.
Well, look, as everyone says, it doesn't matter where you come from. Everyone deserves a brand new day if everyone simply looks for it. But, look, if you're here to kill me, then, be done with it and, call it a day and go take whatever pound of flesh you want to take back home to you.
If I was here to kill you, you'd already be dead. No. I thought you were a Kender, though.
A Kender? No. The old droll comes from the old country. Let's just say that I have my way around the Kender folk, and they have their way around me, and we get on and see many things eye to eye. Like not trusting certain folk what come bearing gifts, or in this case, bearing not a will to kill me? If you're not here to kill me, then what are you here for? Surely not to get in the way of the trial that clearly this giant tree bastard already got in the way of. Do you know how many months it took me to get this trial all sorted?
At which you were not going to succeed in anyway, if Kenvith hadn't been taken out by the looks of things. Aren't you Gwynbed's son?
Now look here, old man. I don't know who you are, but you better choose your words very carefully next. How do you know that name?
Well, let's just say that the Kender and I go back a way. So when I learned that his son was masquerading as a mage, I thought I should pay him a visit when I needed him, which is when... now, exactly. Only you're not exactly 3 foot tall, are you?
No, but that don't make me da any less me da. And if you are speaking the truth here, and I tend to be able to smell a lie like that, then you must be important to the old man.
I don't mean any disrespect, merely that, well, we need to do something, and it will be a lot easier if you were only 3 foot tall. Well, I guess we don't have a choice in the matter.
Hey, look, I might not be as nimble as me parents were, but rest assured I know how to get in and out of tight spaces, and I'll pat on the log that I just spent most of my time crawling around in.
All right. Well, we're here now, and it seems that we both have something to learn from one another. I'll make sure that you graduate from this ridiculous passage anyway. It could be useful to have someone who doesn't think that magic is the beginning and end of everything. Because it's not. You should know that. Right. Well, they'll be out for a few hours or so. We don't have very far to go, at least not by relative standards. How are you at running?
I'm fair fit and good to run, but what exactly are you taking me? I mean, like I said, it's just, subterfuge and whatnot. They're not going to ask any questions about why 2 of the high mages blacked out all of a sudden and then came to without their acolyte.
No, they don't even remember the last few moments before they passed out, so they won't remember us calling the whole thing to an end, and I'm fairly certain you will be able to convince them that they had decided that the trial ended successfully, even if Kenvith had succumbed to his wounds tragically. Anyway, I need your services. When I spoke to the guild leader, he said that if I could find you, I would find myself someone who deserved to go on this little venture. So I'm not entirely sure what you're going on about with taking a pound of flesh. You seem to enjoy the idea of me making use of your services. Although I take it I should not tell him where I found you.
I would take that as a kindness, but if he's sent you to me and is quite happy about it, then I'm sure that whatever you've got in store, there's going to be a pound of flesh taken one way or another. So, were it just for the guild, you'd probably have a different story on your hand. But any friend of Midah that has any issues or troubles, you can count on me. My parents brought me up right, and we look after ours and we look after them fierce. But don't call me Blackstone. The name is New Day, at least while I'm dressed in such attire.
All right, New Day. We need to move quite quickly. What Shamlin didn't tell you is that these woods have 1 or 2 old Solomnic structures. Do you know anything about those knights?
Well, only that they march around pretending like they own most of the land they tread upon. Beyond that, I know very little. They have a big city. They have kings and queens and all those other things that most of the folks out in Starport don't really get to see very often.
Well, you've got some things right, and of course some things are not. But this is not a history lesson. In the meantime, let's move. I need you to steal something for me. Do you think you can do that?
I think I can manage something like that.
Good. And with that, he starts to get you to run as he leads you through the forest. It is initially quite interesting, as the forest is fairly sparse, but it gets denser and denser and denser until it becomes very difficult to move through quite heavy bracken and brambles that are twisted and knotted around one another. And the canopy just closes in so that it is almost impossible to say whether it is night or day. Would you please give me an Arcana check?
Yes. Also, in case I forget to do so again, I'll grab up the stuff the ball bearings and the wire and stuff like that from the log.
Nice.
Yep. Arcana of 16.
Arcana of 16. He is
Which isn't
casting...
bad given that it's 0.
Absolutely. It's like, wait, I know this. I wasn't sleeping through that one class. As you are running, you realize that he has cast some spell or other that allows you to cover quite a lot of ground very, very, very quickly. And just when it seems like it's impossible to continue any further, you find that you are emerging from the densest part of the forest out into a slightly less populated part, and you can hear way in the distance the sound of a river. It's much cooler here, and this is what you now see. You are on the edge of a cliff face, promontory, if you will, which extends quite some distance beyond you. And it's at this point that Ispin has slowed you down and brought you to a complete and final stop eventually.
When you asked if I could run, you weren't kidding.
I'm glad you could keep up. That's a good sign. Now, something to discuss. What do you know about dragon lances?
Only things from the far history. Big lances, good for killing dragons. One hasn't been seen for God knows. Well, at least I haven't heard of one that's been seen for, like, I don't know, ages.
Good. That's very good. So, now, if you realize these lances are quite valuable, I don't know why you are hiding in amongst the mages. That's your affair. And whether you want to stay or not, as I said, that's your decision. I need you to break into this old abandoned facility. You can't yet see it. And I need you to obtain the dragon lance that's within it. It is imperative that you then take it and deliver it to a friend of mine. Don't ask questions as to why. Not yet, anyway. Your cover will remain safe. I will tell the guild that I did not find you at all. Any rumors of your demise, I'm guessing? That would certainly help you, wouldn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yes and no, it absolutely would.
Very well. As far as I'm aware, this facility is mostly abandoned. There are creatures that, shall we say, have made it its home, but during the day they usually don't come out. They're very, very active at night only.
Right. Okay. And if you pardon, the only question I would have, I mean, again, Dragonlance, I believe, abandoned facility with infestations of some kind. I come to terms with this, but how did you know about the Dragonlance in this abandoned place? Wouldn't other people know about it as well? I mean, am I going to be encountering other people that might be trying to break in at the same time as I might be?
I don't think anyone will remember this place. It has been quite a while since anyone has been out this far. As to how do I know that it's here? Well, the knight that is entombed here was one of the great wielders of the dragon lances all those centuries ago. His name is lost to history, let's say, but where the knight is, his lance is usually buried. It's taken me quite some time to find the actual location of his tomb. That also had been forgotten. I do not think anyone else will have thought to look here. As a matter of fact, if I do say so myself, it did take quite a lot of scholastic endeavors to find this exact spot. The only problem is I can't get in.
Right. I imagine that has something to do with my size.
Well, that was the original idea. Best you see for yourself, but keep your voice down. Those creatures that I mentioned, sound is one of their means of detecting creatures, if you will.
I lean in close and I say, that is truly the case for most creatures, in fact.
I can see why your lecturers loved you, he says, as he starts to sneak forward.
I'll join as well. I'll just, like this is just a habit before he does a job. Is he starts just counting and like checking all of his equipment, make sure like, you know what I mean, like a professional. He just
love it.
Checking all of his stuff in his pouch as he makes his way towards the cliff face.
So as you get towards the cliff face, you can see that it is a good 30-foot drop down to a rather narrow but thin river, but fast-flowing river, I should say. And then there's large structure. And I'll actually open up your sight even more, as you can see even more than that. The structure looks as if it is made out of ancient stone, and as if it has weathered centuries. It's mostly overgrown, but there are some details that stick out. There are these large stone buttresses which hold up the entire structure, which must be a good 30 foot in height as well, which means that the upper section of this place is almost level with the top of the cliff face that you are on. There is a good 15-foot jump between the edge of the cliff that you're on and the outermost buttress in certain parts, 10 foot in other parts, depending on where you kind of go. Large stained glass windows, now most of them smashed and destroyed, show that this must have been a religious place of some kind. And there's one large stained glass that you can see that is still intact and shining. I'll ping it here. This stained glass window is still intact. And you can see a valiant knight riding on what looks to be a silver dragon with this large, bright, glowing yellow lance. And the knight seems to be very imposing, and the lance seems to be shedding radiant light in all directions. A spectacular stained glass window, 20 foot tall, 10 foot wide, just beautiful. The others are mostly destroyed, or at least partially destroyed, meaning that those entranceways are now covered with dagger-like shards of glass. There is one point, and this Ispin points out to you, that seems to be relatively open and relatively unprotected. Here, it is what would arguably be called either an air vent or an arrow slit. It's no more than 1.5 feet by 1.5 feet cubed. There must have been a grate over it once, but that grate has long since fallen down into the river and been washed away. Do you see why I had hoped that you were as big as your father?
Yes, but your hopes were not in vain. That should be no problem for me to get through.
Oh, well, as I said, I can't go in, but if you need any assistance from out here, just shout. You should also know I'm waiting for some of my companions to arrive, but I doubt that they will be of much assistance to you inside. If you could get this lance before then, that would be ideal.
All right, so break into the tomb filled with infested creatures, find the lance, bring it back, squeeze through a hole about the size of a loaf of bread, and do so before your friends get here. Shouldn't be a problem.
Oh, well, if this goes well, there may be more work for us to do in the future. Anyway, I wish you luck. New day.
Oh, you weren't joking. Oh, okay, yes, sure. Now, before I get started, I don't suppose you had a way across the river, or am I going for a swim first?
He sort of looks around. I might be able to find you a pole.
No, it's quite all right. Okay. Now, looking at the vent is at the 30-foot mark, or is it
Yes.
halfway? Yep, okay, so it's at the 30-foot mark. Okay,
Yeah.
so here is what I need to do. I'm absolutely not going to make a 30-foot jump because I remember standing over a volcano and not making a 5-foot jump and fell into some lava. We won't talk about that. So I'm going to go a little bit upriver, and I'm going to descend carefully down into the water and then guide myself towards the other side using the current at the same time to get there.
All right. How are you descending the cliff side?
I'm going to try and climb down carefully. I don't know how deep the river is, so I'm not going to jump for the full distance, but I'm going to be careful as much as I can. If I fall, I kind of fall, but I'm hoping that, I'm expecting it. I'm prepared for a swim.
A swim. Okay, go ahead and give me an acrobatics check as
Right.
you try and climb down the structure. With
That is
an
an
11, it's not as graceful as you may have hoped for.
Oh,
Bits of rock kind of crumble and clatter and splash down into the river below. From above you, you see Ispin looking very concerned. But you get down to the level of the water.
All right.
And you can see it doesn't look to be particularly particularly deep, just quite fast flowing.
Okay. I'm glad that I did not jump. All right.
Yes.
I'm going to swim towards the other bank, but also trying to swim upriver at the same time. So ideally, I'll be moving across to a vent.
Gotcha.
Yeah, diagonally. Yep.
Yeah. All right, that's an athletics check, if you please. It's ankle deep at the edge, and as you get out into the middle, it goes to being just over chest height, but the current is quite strong. So you do have advantage on this.
Okay. Sorry, that was an athletics.
Yes, with advantage.
Okay. That's a natural 20.
Oh, wait, natural 20.
Chased up with an 18.
Hopefully
Just in
we're
case.
getting chased up with an 18. Yeah, just for good measure, because we needed more. Lovely. So that gets you to the base of this structure without too much of a problem.
All right. Sopping wet, I'm going to take a quick moment to sort of wring out as much of the water from my clothes as I can before I start climbing, including my gloves and boots and the like for rock climbing and the like.
Makes absolute sense. Ispin wanders over to the far edge of the cliff closest to you. So he's now probably only about 10 foot away as the crow flies. But since you are down as well, and he kind of waves his fingers very crudely in the air, and suddenly you feel your clothing drying and your hair drying as he casts this magic very subtly over you, gives you a wink, and then he kind of watches as you climb up to the vent.
Yes, I will very carefully climb up to the vent.
It's not difficult at all. There are so many little ledges for ornamentation. There are ridges. There are parts of the columns that form the windows themselves are decorated with knights, which have got nice little bumps and things. Most of it, though, has been worn away. So the faces where they were eyes and noses and mouths, now they're sort of depressions and things. Where there was a crown, now there's this weird wavy line. But it's not difficult for you to get to the top of this ledge at all. And that's when you get to this 1.5 foot. So about that by about that. It's going to be tight to slip through.
Can I see the other side? That's the important thing. Okay.
You look in through the other side, and I will show you what you see through that little hole. It's very dark inside, so I'm just going to reveal only what you can kind of see in the gloom. Did it do it? Oh, wait. Sorry. No, I was clouding it. I was using the wrong function. So you look inside, and this is what you can make out. A precipitous drop of 30 feet back down into the inside of this obviously large chamber. There is an ancient old statue that's toppled and broken. And it looks like the interior has this large cavernous space. And then more towards the center of the room, there are columns, freestanding columns reaching up into the heights. But that's basically what you can see from here. You can't see any creatures.
Okay. I'm going to start by taking off my armor.
Okay.
And I'm going to put my armor through and kind of bundled up and put it ahead of me. And then, after I take off my armor, which I will do right now, there we go. I am going to take out from my one of my kits, my herbalism kit specifically. I'm going to take out some oil, and I'm going to anoint myself in its entirety with oil.
I like that.
And I'm going to start with one hand, pushing that through, and kind of like basically separating my not separating my shoulders, but like moving it through, and then sort of making my way to try and reach the other side to get a handhold, and then sort of slide and pull myself in with that kind of almost worm curl.
As you do so, give me a stealth check, if you please.
All right. Does the grease help me?
It does. You have advantage. Sorry, yes.
Oof. All right, well, that's a 14.
A 14. All right, so on a 14, as you slickly slide your way into the space, you realize that when you pop out on the other side, there is a ledge of about a foot which runs around the entire length of this chamber. And that's what you've popped out onto. And you are 30 foot now above the floor.
All right.
Right? And as your eyes adjust to the light, and I'm going to reveal the whole room to you because you get a pretty good sense of it.
I also very quietly think to myself, how did that old man expect me to take the lance out of a freaking vent?
So many questions unanswered. So you are looking into the space, and as your eyes adjust to the gloom, you can see on the ground these rather hideous-looking... They're not humanoids, but they are definitely humanoid-like. They look like white bats, but each bat's probably about 4 foot in size as a body. Their wings are all wrapped around them, but they are all nested on the floor. They've kind of gathered around them bones, little bits of wood, some broken things here and there to create these nests. And they're all just very quietly wrapped up in their spaces in these nests. Now that you are in here, you can see that those columns, so that's these things here. So there, and there. These columns here all reach up 20 feet. And then connecting them are these 4 large arches that span across the columns and rise up another 5 feet. So in other words, the top of one of those arches is only 5 foot below you. At the far end of the room, you can see here, this is a door that you can make your way through, possibly. It doesn't look locked. As a matter of fact, the one side of the door is hanging on its hinges and is slightly ajar, but only by a few inches or so. On the far end of the room, there are several little windows that you can see, mostly broken and disused. And then 2 large bits of stained glass remain over an altar. The altar itself appears to have been made out of solid stone and is decorated with some carvings, but not much else.
Okay. Okay.
It
And you
is
said that,
incredibly quiet in this room.
and you said the ledge that I'm on runs around the entire length of
It
the
does
room.
indeed.
Does that include above the door?
Yes, it does.
Okay. I'm going to, first of all, take my time, because obviously I'm covered in grease. So I'm
Yes.
going to slowly put on my gloves, my armor, and stuff like that. So the greased up side of me is on the interior of my exposed surfaces. Before I then begin shuffling very quietly and very slowly along the edge of the room here until trying to make my way towards the door. But when I get to, do you see that first like almost like 45-degree angle turn there, just at the end of that straight?
Yes.
Okay, I want to in my from my pouch take out the bell that I have, but I want to hold the little spigot, whatever the little
The hammer, yep.
hammer. Yep.
Or the gong, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I want to keep that nice and quiet, and I want to then tie it to, well, if there's anything to tie it to, I want to tie it to that. Otherwise, I will use something to like wedge it like in place. Either that, or I'll put like a bag of sand over the bit of wire that's there. Basically, just to hold it very delicately.
Okay.
The idea is I'm going to run from here as I make my way towards it, that fishing wire, as I kind of make my way around just in case.
So
Plan is if I accidentally start to get their attention, to start to ring the bell, which will be in that location.
nice. So you're just gently running this wire around
Yep.
as you make your way around.
Yep.
All right. You now find yourself in the position of being on that ledge above the door. The door is now, you can't see the door because now it's underneath you.
Okay. I'll like keep the wire up here so that it'll basically hang over the door or in the location where the door is. How far is the top of the door from where the ledge is?
Trying to remember, you think it's about 5 feet.
Okay. So here's what I want to do. I want to have both my knees and my legs on top of the ledge and bend backwards downward and use my hands to grab the top of the door. Then I want to...
Okay, let's get that one done because I like that. But that's going to be some interesting acrobatics from you there.
All right, acrobatics. That
Yes,
is
sir.
an 18.
Oh, like a pro.
Okay.
You are upside down. The bats are now on the ceiling where they should be.
Okay. I'm then going to, again, very carefully pull myself off the ledge while holding onto the top of the door, and then make it so that the base of my feet touch the door, but only gently. So I've got a lot of control on that. So then I'll basically be hanging onto that opened bit, because you said the door was ajar, holding onto that
Slightly.
little lip.
Yes.
And then I'm going to lower myself down after that.
All right. You slowly lower yourself down. Go ahead and give me an investigate check as you are looking at all of this taking place.
All right. That is a 19 on my
Oh, the
investigate.
dice are in your favor. So as you are lowering yourself down using all of your acrobats muscle to control the perfect maneuver of this whole thing, I'm just looking at your dexterity being nice and high there. You are now hanging on this door with your feet below you pressed up against it.
Yep.
The door is about an inch open. Now what?
Oh, was that the investigate check? I thought it was... Yeah, okay.
You were watching for the bolts in the walls, the creaking of the door. You just watched everything and controlled your weight perfectly.
Okay, beautifully. Now, with that investigate, could I tell if the hinges are rusty?
These hinges most certainly are. This door probably hasn't opened in 60 years.
All right. I will apply some of the oil that I still have, which, you know, I'm going to use it from my hair. That's where I'm going to use it from. I'm just going to I'm gonna just slick it into I'm going to try and apply this liberally to the hinges
Okay.
before I try to swing it open.
All right. You think you have oiled up the hinge?
Okay. All right, here we go. We are not at home to failure. 3, 2, and... Okay, so at this point, I'm going to, from both hands being on one side of the door,
Yes.
I'm going to move that 1 inch and place my hand inside to the inside of the door.
Okay.
And then rotate, and as I rotate, push the door open so that I'm on that other side.
I love it. I love it. You push on that door. The oil has seeped in. I just need you to give me a strength check. Just a straight up strength check to push a 25-foot tall door that you're hanging on away. And with the grace of a cat, you slip between the interstices of that door and just get in on the other side without a whisper of sound escaping at all. Do you close the door on the other side?
Oh God, no. I feel like I might need a quick escape at some point, and I am all but too keen to leave that slightly ajar.
All right. You find yourself in another corridor. Do you now drop down onto the ground?
I will search for traps first.
You need to give me a perception check.
Oh, this is not my first rodeo. 19.
This is not your first rodeo. So, the more observant of you will have noticed that the floor appears to have been cracked in the corner of the room. Looking at that crack, you realize that that piece of floor, just the way the cracks are sitting, the entire floor seems to have sagged inwards slightly, as if it was originally a suspended floor and the beams underneath have rotted away, causing the stone tiles to sink in on each other and crack under the pressure that they were not designed to have. That is in front of, and if the map is too dark for you, just let me know. But
No, it's all good. Yep.
you can see there is the crack is here, and the crack is in front of one door that looks as if it has not been opened in centuries. As a matter of fact, this door has a large wooden bar across the middle of it, as if it was locked from this side. You can see a sliver of light shining through that double door, which may indicate that it leads to the outside, because it's certainly bright enough for it to be the morning light that you saw before.
I was going to say, it's very unlikely that someone's left a candle in and been locked inside this room.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. This is not a cinematic dungeon. Over here, you can see from your current position this very, very rusted-looking portcullis or metal grill of some kind that is blocking an entrance into somewhere. And then on this side, down here, you can see to some degree that this is an open archway leading further down this passageway. You are still hanging from the top of the door.
All right. Is there another ledge? Just asking, like there was in the previous room.
So this room is not as beautifully decorated as the chapel was that you were in. There is a ledge at the top. It is not a foot wide, though. It's probably 4 inches, so like that big. Enough for fingers, but not enough for toes.
Okay, I don't want to be stressing my fingers because I will need them for climbing later. Okay, so I'm going to very slowly lower myself to the ground here.
All right.
The first thing I want to look for is I want to see if there's any obvious mechanism for the portcullis.
Looking around, you can see embedded into the wall here, so just above those cracks, there is a rather curious looking stone scroll that has been intricately carved with some text. This text has been preserved from the weathering effects of the outer statues on the outside of the building. But in the gloom, unless you have dark vision, you can't read it from where you are, unless you have some kind of light.
Is it, if it's carved in stone?
Yeah.
Can I? Oh, no, I'm not going to go over there yet. All right, I'm going to have a look at the southern corridor.
All right, so you're going to stealthily move around to the southern corridor, yeah?
Yep.
All right. As you look down the southern corridor, you get to see what's behind the portcullis as well behind you. It is a magnificent statue of a Knight of Solemnia, very, very obvious by their particular shape of bucket helmet with two large horns curving back over the helmet itself. And that knight is standing holding a shield with the blazon of the Knights of Solemnia inscribed upon it. And then in the other hand, they're holding a greatsword. And the greatsword is buried through the neck of a very dead-looking dragon. Still can't read what's written on that scroll, but you can see that statue behind you. Now, the statue is fairly nice, but it probably weighs about 4 tons, and it's in a very small room. The other thing is that it doesn't seem to have any ornamentation at all, except that the hilt, and as a matter of fact, the pommel of that great sword appears to be a rather large-looking gemstone of some significant value that appears to have been set into the actual sword itself. To the south, you can see more damaged corridor, more of those broken tiles and things, and a quick look around will reveal the full extent of the chamber to you. There is a large set of broken double doors at the far end to the south. That's down here. And again, more damaged stonework, over here, and some broken brickwork over here. But other than that, the chamber seems to be quite empty.
Okay. New Day, as he's moving through, quietly thinks to himself, oh, I know what the plaque says now. It's "Here lies the dragon lance," clearly the object not being used in the statue depicting the slaying of a dragon. He sort of has a small cheeky grin to himself as he thinks to himself that probably this isn't where the dragon lance is being stored, but is waiting for the the poetic irony of maybe this is part of a puzzle. Maybe it's like, oh, anyone who's gone here should know that the dragon lance was how the dragons were slain, and this could be a big portcullis room to death.
Could be.
And I'm going to keep going south. I'm going to go along the western side of the room to avoid the larger hole, but I am going to be keeping a lookout for more traps as I make my way towards the double doors.
Okay. So looking out for more traps, you do now realize that there is a very faint blue glow around that door.
Okay.
You can go ahead and give me an Arcana check if you would like to identify that blue glow. It's clearly magical in nature.
That's a 12.
On a 12... you have once before simulated this spell using your little bell and some string.
Okay.
This reminds you very much of the alarm spell, which may or may not have been used by your fellow students to ward off anyone from accessing their private chests in the dormitories.
Okay. All right. And can I see anything beyond the door, or is the glow
yes,
kind of...
Yes, indeed you can. My apologies. So, as you are now looking through that doorway, you can, in fact, see... not too far into the room, but there is a slight orange light coming in. You suspect it might be from more of those stained glass windows where they seemed to like that sort of thing. Some bricks or stonework has collapsed into the chamber, which has obviously knocked on the door. And there is obviously a bigger space beyond.
Okay. Well, I guess time to play test if stuff goes wrong. I'm going to take one of the rocks from the rubble pile that's next to me, and I'm going to try and surreptitiously add it to the other pile that is on the other side of the door.
So you're going to chuck it.
Yep.
All right. As you throw the rock through the door to land on the other pile, the entire blue edging flares up, and you hear a voice going, "What? What? Who is that? Who is that? Is that you, Mandrake?" And then you hear the approaching sound of footsteps. What do you do?
I'm going to hide in the rubble in this room.
Go ahead and give me a stealth check. Huh. Okay.
That's a thing.
That's the thing. You do have something.
I do have a inspiration that I got earlier that I think might be of use right now, and I'm going to use it right now. Yes, that's right. A wizard does not roll higher or lower. They roll as precisely as they mean to.
And thank goodness for your inspiration. And so, with your new hiding check, you watch as this very old woman with very green skin and shocking white dreadlocks shuffles forward and glares down the passageway, shouting, "I know it's you, Mandrake." Then she notices the stone, the fresh stone, gently sliding over the pile of stones, and she looks up into the ceiling. "Ah, cursed place, cursed place! I hate you! I hate you!" And with that, she disappears out of sight back into the chamber, muttering to herself.
Okay, so here's what I want to do. I want to very swiftly, very quickly,
Yes.
move into her blind spot behind her and move 180 as clearly the alarm will go off again, so that I'm standing directly behind her as she moves and looks and kind of like as she's turning back.
This is the chamber that you realize you are leaping into with your plan. I need you to go ahead and give me an initiative roll, if you please.
All right, here we go. Come on, baby. It's an 8.
An 8. Her initiative is faster. Her head snaps around the moment you cross through that portal, and she shrieks at you. It was a nice try. But you did not count on this little old ancient green thing. She stands about 5 foot tall, but you realize that's because her back is bent over. She has quite this hunch. And she looks at you and she says, "No, it is mine, you hearted thief. It is mine."
I was just looking for my rock. It fell somewhere over here. I was playing with it and it came. Have you seen my rock?
Go ahead and give me a deception check on that one.
That is a 23.
23. Okay. 23. Your rock.
Yes, small, about this big. I'm sorry. I didn't expect to find what I can only assume is a great and powerful vision here in this place that I thought was abandoned.
And you came here looking for a rock?
Well, yeah, it was silly though it is. I'm training and practicing to be a wizard, and I cast magic stone upon this rock, and, well, you see, the examiners, they ask that I have to prove that I've done this, and without that rock, I'll fail my exams, but, just between us, I think the mages don't know what they're doing. I feel like I've got no magic in me whatsoever after all of their teachings and their lessons.
The mages. She mutters something under her breath that you can't understand, but you can definitely tell that she does not like them at all.
Oh, no, tell me about it. I mean, hours and hours of pointless lecturing about the history of the third cycle of a moon? What are they trying to teach you? How to grow botany by moonlight? It's infuriating, to say the least.
Yes. And then they choose those that are fair as opposed to those who are skilled. I hate her so much. I mean, I hate the mages. All of them. All of them.
Oh, yes. No, all of them are incredibly insufferable. And just between you and me, I have one of my instructors that I hate the absolute most. Mistress Shamlin is just...
Don't mention that name here! I hate her! She
is awful, isn't she?
Oh, insufferable with her knowledge and her fair hair and her perfect little nose and her perky little chin. Yeah.
If only someone, dropped a giant log on her face, so that'll even out,
Did it work? Did it tell me? Did it work? I did so try.
Oh, were I to tell you the story, it was truly incredible, but I'm a little parched. May I sit down?
Oh, please, 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 she says, and she gestures to this large stony pew that has been set into the wall over here on the west, directly opposite a tremendously ornate sarcophagus, which has the likeness of the slayer of that statue that you saw earlier engraved upon it. And you can see that it's got several very large magical seals bolted around the edges. And each of those seals is just gently glowing with magic. Well, I say each of them is gently glowing. One of them has got bright magic. The rest are all dull magic. As if they've been suppressed or something along those lines.
All right. I will pull out a flask of water and go to drink, but then stop momentarily. Oh, I'm terribly sorry. Where are my manners? Please, if you would. I mean, if we are going to talk about the epic tale, then of course I want you to feel as comfortable as well. I'm going to pour a glass as well for her to drink, and hand her and invite her to sit next to me. In fact, on the pew.
Well, so is she dead? She says, taking the glass from you and drinking it.
All right. So I.
You are evil. I'm just saying this right now. You are the bad guy.
I am in too deep. It may seem like New Day has a plan, but Michael has no clue where I'm going with this. Okay, so it is an elixir that I have on me called Dream Lily. When consumed, Dream Lily gives the creature the poisoned effect for 1 hour with no save. It tastes like their favorite beverage once consumed. And while this poison is there, they are immune to fear. And the first time this creature drops to 0 hit points without being killed outright, it drops to 1 hit point instead of being knocked out.
Okay.
So that is all the effects that they are under. But more importantly, they have disadvantage on everything.
So she has no saving throw, right?
No saving throw.
She smacks her old, warty lips, and you can see her moustache gently waving in the breeze. Where on earth did you get this? You don't strike me as the sort who's been that far south.
Well, let's just say that many people don't understand acquired tastes at the Wizard's Towers.
Many things don't get understood at the wizard's towers at all. Pox on them, curse them.
But
Now,
let me
let me
tell you the
to
tale.
tell me
Oh,
about
yes.
the death of Shamlin.
Yeah, so there I was, being dragged into the middle of the woods by an egotistic mage, more interested in their own reflection than in actually teaching me anything of worth.
I knew that mirror of hers was powerful.
Note. When all of a sudden, terror on thunderous footsteps began to lurch from the forests. Now, I tried to reach out. I tried to warn them and say, I hear something coming. But would they listen to a lowly acolyte like myself?
Never, never! They would never listen to those who knew better than them.
They did not. They did not. And lo and behold, like a missile of verdant vengeance, it flew in the direction directly towards your quarry.
Yes!
I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted. The lights on that sarcophagus.
Yes, the magical seals. What about them?
Why are three of them dark and one of them lit?
It is particularly powerful magic. It has taken some of my effort to get rid of it, but the last seal remains. It is a trifle. It'll be down shortly. Continue the story. What happened?
Right, so then, miraculously, as the log, even though its aim was true,
Yes.
a miserable dwarven mage threw themselves upon the incoming log and took the blow. But did that stop the giant lurching tree monster from its mission?
No. It probably did.
It did not. It did not. It with the first of the volleys failing, it stepped forth into the breach with only its strength, its will, and the sheer power. And by the way, as someone who was standing there, I had goosebumps, tingles all over my body from the sheer amount of magic poured into this creature. It must have truly taken someone of great power to be able to animate this being.
Well, one doesn't like to brag, but I have been called a witch of the wild woods with reason.
Not the Witch of the Wild Woods, whose name causes even the most powerful of mages and knights of Solemnia to quake under their beds at night.
I never heard it go that far before, I must admit. Well, if that's what they're saying, then it's all true, all true.
Oh, well, I can definitely see why your magics have already undone so much of this seal. I'm actually more surprised the last one isn't completed already with your great power.
You flatter me, you really do. Are you single? I mean, yes, I'll, of course I'll, no. You were about to tell me what was happening.
Oh, yes,
You're going
of course,
to need to give me a persuasion check to get her to veer off from hearing the rest of the story.
All right. Persuasion of... Oh, come now. That's a 7. I'll continue.
Well, your 7 beats her 6.
Oh! That was me rolling a 2.
Yeah. She rolled a
I'll
6
take
and a
it.
20 thanks to your poison.
You mean my delightful beverage of questionable morals?
Exactly. Oh, if the seal means that much, you're not here for the lance, are you?
What lance?
No, that's fine. All right, stand back, and the Witch of the Wilds will show you her true power.
Oh, I can't wait. Finally, a real lesson in spellcasting.
Oh? You mean you might want a mistress to teach you all that she knows, whilst providing her with just a little companionship on the lonely, cold nights, whilst one plots revenge?
I'll reach over and like taking like kind of like my hand and placing it over this like green, warty, gnarled, almost too many knuckled finger, and I'll say, that does sound quite delightful. But but there are stories to be told, of course, and of course your great power. I would surely love to see it. I mean, I could not give everything to a mistress that wasn't the all-powerful witch of the wild.
Stand back! Enough talking! More action! She says as she kind of throws her hands over the last seal. And she starts to almost, it looks as if she's clawing at the magic that's wrapped around the seal. And as she's doing that, she's uttering these ancient arcane words way above your education level that slowly sees her pulling apart the last of these seals. She's literally kind of ripping it away piece by piece. Your best guess is it's going to take her a good minute to do this.
Okay.
And she's super focused on what's going on. What are you doing?
All right. Praying to every god I know. Okay. I'm going to take out my bag of caltrops.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm just going to surreptitiously place them on the ground beneath me.
Beneath you or around you?
Kind of like where I'm standing. So my intention here is that I'm going to make a grab for the lance, which I presume is inside of here, and then step away from this woman, as I presume she would then step towards me, and in doing so would then step onto the caltrops that I was, well, not standing on, but standing around. Yeah.
All right. I've marked the area with a little orange patch of caltrops, which you have quietly placed down around you. Are you doing anything else?
I'm gonna kind of half do these with my feet. So I've drawn it from like my pouch, and I've like slid it down my leg, and as it's dropped, I've used my foot to kind of like just spread them around a little bit liberally. But I think that's everything. I'm not going to go for a weapon. I'm not going to, like do anything suspicious. I'm going to simply watch and wait for my moment.
All right. She finally pulls the last of the magic, and you see the seal go dim. It is done. Look.
Oh, phenomenal.
No. Yes. No. I have waited a long time for this. But first, you must tell me what happened to Sharblend. Curse.
Of course, you wouldn't want to relish your victory with anything more than the blood of your enemy.
Yes.
So there I was, watching as the great creature lurched towards Shemlin. The dwarf, not yet yielding, launched buzzsaw after buzzsaw of magic, cutting through it limb by limb. But did that stop it? No, of course it didn't. There was far too much power, raw magic within it. It reached out and it grabbed hold of Shemlin.
Yes.
Its roots ensnared and wrapped around her form. As it lifted her from the ground, she tried to cast spells, but it immediately used its thumb and held firm against her head. And as it began to squeeze the very life from her...
Yes!
Sorry, I'm just... How about I tell you the last line? At the same time, you open and feel that double sense of triumph.
What kind of tormenting incubus are you? She says. Dip. She turns. Lid, lift, begone! And she uses some magic to lift the lid of the sarcophagus up, and she just sort of hurls it against the far end of the wall. Give me an insight check, if you please.
All right. That is a 12.
She looks a bit fatigued after all of this, more so than she was before. And then she looks down into the sarcophagus. There is this ancient old skeleton wearing rusted plate mail, definitely Solomonic inscriptions cast upon it. Clutched to its chest, you can see one hand has been broken off and sort of just lying somewhere on the side, loose. The other hand, the fingers have all been snapped off, and you can see them sort of scattered around. And you can see a distinct impression of where a lance, like the one on the stained glass window that you saw, would have been. But instead, now lying there is a scroll of paper. No! She screams, and she sort of picks up the paper. She looks at the paper. Ah! This is an outrage, she says. Look! And she sort of holds the paper towards you. Do you read what's written on it?
I swear if you do this to me. Okay, I'm gonna read it. What does it say?
It simply says, as with most things, I have got here first, and you are now left with nothing but the dry, crumbling bones of your failure. And it's signed F. Who the hell is F?
F.
It means nothing to you.
While she is enraged, is she paying any attention to me? Like,
no, she's frantically looking. She throws the piece of paper over her shoulder and starts rummaging around the armor. It's worth nothing. You can see the iron the steel is crumbling. Wow, this is so unfair!
All right, time to go. I'm going to, before I go, however, does she have anything that looks kind of like, I don't know, important on her person, like a spell book or a pouch of things or something?
Well, looking about her shabby personage, you can see she definitely has a spell book strapped to her side. It's not particularly large, probably a good-sized tome. Mm-hmm. Resting against that, she has several pouches, one of which distinctly sounds like it has some coins in it. And she then has a rather curious, it looks like a charm, a silver bird skull with several green feathers tied around a string which comes to a knot, and at the top of the knot, a silver disc with a sun symbol inscribed into it, and that has been sort of clipped onto her belt as well.
Okay. I would like to try and steal a bunch of stuff and then run. So okay. I'm going to start with the spell book.
Sure. Give me a sleight of hand.
Okay. Do I have advantage in any way?
No, you don't have advantage in this instance.
Because that's an 8.
That's an 8? All right.
She does have disadvantage because she's poisoned.
She does have disadvantage on noticing. Yes, absolutely. I knew it! I knew it was in here somewhere! You slipped the spellbook off of her. She's now half climbed into the sarcophagus and is busy she's throwing a bone and a skull. I hate you so much, Lancelos! And she throws the skull over her head, and then she starts rummaging around. You got the book?
Okay. I'm just going to add that to my sheet, which is spellbook. I'm then also going to go for the lovely ring that she seemed to have.
The ring?
Yes. Now, what I'd like to do for this, because it's attached to... Oh, sorry, the
disc. Yeah, absolutely.
I imagine it like kind of like... Yeah. So I'm going to use my knife to cut the leather of the of it, rather than trying to muck about with taking off her belt.
Stealth check? Sleight of hand, sorry.
Sleight of hand. That's a 15.
With the 15, as you pull it free, the little beak of the bird suddenly makes a whistling sound. And she immediately stops her rummage. She looks up at you.
You. This was all to get Birdie? I knew you were too good to be true.
Well, you admitted I was good, and I'm gonna run!
Roll initiative for me, if you please.
Oh no, that's a 10.
Okay, she only has a 5, so you're up first. Where are you running to?
Okay, so I'm going to disengage.
Yep.
Um,
You're not engaged yet, so you don't have to disengage.
Oh, sweet. Oh. No, I'm not gonna do it. All right, I'm gonna disengage. Well, run. I'm gonna run. I'm just gonna run.
Yeah.
But as I run, I'm gonna stop in front of the doors, the double doors that lead into the cathedral.
All right, that's 25 feet to that point there.
Yep. So I'm going to, double move.
So you're going to go back out into the corridor.
Yep.
10, 15.
Definitely legging it.
That gets you to there. Assuming you're missing all of the cracks and things.
Yes. Course.
All right.
Okay, cool. I'm going to do that.
That's what you've done. Because she does, let's just, she has disadvantage. How long does that poison last for?
An hour.
Oh my goodness. All right. She rushes forward and you just hear this howl of pain as she rushes into the caltrops. You may roll 1d4.
Okay, I will do so. That's a
3 points
3
damage. All right. I don't know if that's how much damage caltrops make, but that's what it does in this particular instance of the game. It's back up to you.
Okay, here's what I'm going to do.
Yes.
I'm going to... By the door is the bell that I set up with the wire. I'm going to ring the bell.
Uh-huh.
And then I'm going to move... So I'm going to ring the bell.
Yes.
And then I want to move to the corner by the what I thought was the front door with the wooden bar over it. And I want to hide in that corner.
All right. So you go there, you ring the bell, and then you're going to go there?
Yes. The idea here is I want to wake up those bat things and make it seem like there's a ruckus in there so that she'll come out and go around the corner and try to cut me off there.
Beautiful. The bell goes off. The bats get to act. They all fly towards this thing that's attracted their attention. Back to her. Her movement was stopped because of your caltrops. She gingerly picks her way through.
When I find you, I will use you to make the voodoo doll that I used to kill Shamlin with, even if that dire tale was a farce. You silver-tongued demon, I curse you with all the power that I have to curse you, which is nothing because of the system that I'm playing, but I hate you anyway!
She is just screaming down this passageway. Are you going to stay hidden?
I'm going to stay hidden, yeah.
All right. She hears the sound of the bats. The bats are shrieking and echoing and kind of fluttering around in quite a...
Moloch! Find! Catch him! Kill him!
She says as she walks past you with disadvantage on her perception. On a 4, I don't think you could even roll that low with stealth.
I cannot.
You cannot. She walks past you, pushes open the door. The bell jingles near her ear, causing her to flail around a little bit.
Where are you?
I'll turn and go back into the chamber with the lance and the knight.
Oh, sure.
And I'm going to drop some ball bearings on the way through by the door.
Ball bearings by the door.
Yep. And what my goal is here at this point is I want to grab hold of the knight's helmet and the note,
Yes.
which I presume that she might have like
Oh,
dropped.
she threw it over her shoulder. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yep. And then use the helmet as kind of like a protector and smash through the stained glass and climb out and into the river.
All right, beautiful. And so all of that transpires. You smash your way through that glass. You hear her screaming curses as she hears you. But by the time you have got to the other side of the river, you hear another loud scream as she encounters your ball bearings and in comical style slips, skids, and crashes to the ground, completely defeated. You are faced by the 30-foot cliff climb on the other side. But just as you are looking up, you can see this rather ugly-looking dwarf looking down at you. And she says, "All right, I'll give you a hand." And she lowers down some rope.
Much obliged. I'll tie myself off and start climbing up.
Easy enough. The name's Cudgel. I take it that you did not find the lance.
No, I did not. But wearily enough, we have a souvenir, and I'm gonna hand her the head of the knight, like because like that I used to smash open the thing, and of course a love letter from the person who currently has the lance.
So that's when a woman in her mid-40s, human woman, quite handsome, she steps forward. She looks at the skull, and you can see her face kind of softens for a little moment. Lanceros, he was a very good knight. Unfortunately, not that good. Ispin then joins you. So, he got there first, did he? Well, that's unfortunate.
It sounds like you know who this he was.
Yes, but perhaps here is not the right place to discuss this. Let's return, shall we?
And I just kind of imagine in the background to this screaming. Yes. Oh, yes. By the way, giant bat creatures and a hag. Big, nasty witch of the woods, witch of the wilds. Can't remember, but oh, yeah, she's fierce mad.
I can't imagine what you did to her. Whatever
Nothing,
it was, I'm glad. Right, time for us to move, everybody. With that, you and the other three are whisked with your running speed greatly enhanced with the magic of Ispin back to the clearing where the two unfortunate educators are still lying completely unaware of what has happened. And as you get there, and I will move you over there shortly. Ta-da! As you arrive, mere moments later, but dozens of miles in distance, you see that Ispin looks over at the female that came with him, and she looks to Cudgel. Cudgel steps forward. "All right, laddie, you said that you, Ispin said that you wanted to lose, like, what was it, 5 minutes or so of their memories?"
Oh, yeah, no, I'd say, yeah, 5 minutes would be about right before, but I mean, we do have the giant wood thing here. Is that not going to cause issue?
Oh,
No.
that might be it. I'll do the dwarf, she says, stepping around to Bagel. Ispin leans down next to Shamlin. You better think of a pretty good story as to why exactly they passed you and how it is. They'll remember the battle because they need to know how Kenwith died. It would just create too many problems if not. But I think you've got this.
I think I can weave a story together that they'll enjoy.
You watch as both Ispin and Cudgel drop some dust onto the faces of these two characters. And then they stand up. I'm sure our paths will cross again, New Day. I am grateful for the assistance you provided. It is unfortunate that we didn't find anything of value in that chamber. But I'm sure we will find value in each other in the future, yes?
Of course. And I hope that you can count on me with any tasks like this you may have in the future.
It is a sad day, I'm sure, for the Guild of Thieves to learn that one of their operatives is no longer alive.
Terrible tragedy indeed.
Indeed. With that, they blend back into the foliage, and a few moments later, Shamlin and Bigel start to waken. But the tale that you tell them to convince them to get you to graduate as a red robe of the Mages of Sorcery is a tale that will be told some other time, as we have come to the end of our time for today. So a big thank you to you, Michael, for getting your way through that one. I have to say I had just a tremendous amount of time, of fun in this time. I did not anticipate this going the way that it was going to go. It was super cool, as always. I mean, which is why I love playing.
Man, it's always an absolute blast. I knew when I was playing this character that I was going to have like so many hurdles trying to be a wizard with no levels of wizard. And I'm not gonna lie. I like everything that happened. I was sitting there like I was like, oh, if I play a rogue, I gotta play like a good rogue, you know, like someone who really knows their stuff. Because I've never played that before. Because I know this is gonna sound very self-important, but I always feel like I'd be really good at it, and I feel like I kind of met my expectations on that. So I love how New Day's come along. I loved the story, and I love the conversation with the witch. Like that was, like, you got me that. I honestly, I was like, I didn't think I'd get this far, but here we are, seducing a witch. Let's get it done.
Get going there. I didn't see that one coming at all. It was a lot of fun, really was. Yes, when everyone said, "Oh, we're all going to play wizards," I was like, "Great!" And then you sent me your character concept, going, "I'm a wizard, but I'm not." I was like, "Okay, let's see how this plays out. How could you convince your tutors that you would get this far?" And I think that we've proven that you'd get this far. It's going to be interesting to see what happens when you are around Will Wizards, Harry, and what actually happens there. But that will be in 2 weeks' time when the full gang is together. Next week is me with Lou, and she is a different kind of mage altogether. And so we'll see what happens there. Until we meet again, the image will be posted in discord.gg. Let me try that one again. The image will be posted in discord.gg/greatgm of last week's Titanic battle. And then this week, I will try and choose a moment that captured my imagination. And I think it's going to be a certain seduction that was going on. I don't want to say anything, but that's certainly what's going to pop up next week for you to go and create a catchphrase for this particular image. And then hopefully it'll be chosen. So there you are. Michael, again, thanks for playing. I look forward to playing again with you in the new year, as they say, given the time in which we're playing. And to all of you, a massive thank you for watching all the way through to the end. If you enjoyed the show, remember to hit that like button. And in 2 weeks' time, I will be talking about what I'm planning for Adventure 1. It will contain spoilers, but it will give you some insight into what I have taken away from these 4 one-on-ones, as well as what I plan on doing in the future. So remember to check that out. Until next time, Michael, where can people follow you?
Go follow me on twitch.tv/deadaussiegamer. And of course, if you want to follow all my cool adventures over on Twitter for now, at least, I'm also on Instagram. So all of my appearances and stuff are usually on those ones as well.
And I'll type that into chat because I was bad and did not get somebody else to do it for me. Dead Aussie Gamer. Look for it everywhere and you will find him there. Until next week, a massive thank you to all of you. And until then, happy gaming.